Here comes the great Jesse Ventura.
Direct from Minnesota, His Honor himself, Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse, are you with us?
Yeah, how you doing, John?
We're doing pretty good here in New York City, and very excited to have you on live on the Pro Wrestling Spotlight for the first time.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, are you still the mayor of Brooklyn Park?
Absolutely.
How's everything going there?
Good. Well, it's probably in a little better shape than Brooklyn, New York.
I would say so. We read in the papers here, before we went on the air, there were 10 murders committed over a 24-hour period in New York, and it's pretty heavy out there.
Well, I feel good then, because I don't think we had any in Brooklyn Park, to my knowledge, for the whole weekend. In fact, if we have a murder in Brooklyn Park, it's big news for the year.
Now, how does this affect your schedule? Is this almost a full-time endeavor for you?
No, not at all. The mayor here, we're run by a city manager who's paid and well-educated to run the city on a full-time basis. And what the mayor and the council are we're the decision makers in what direction the city manager will carry the city in. So basically, I just need to be here on Monday nights for council meetings, and then certain things during the week I'll handle. And then, I did have an experience lobbying in Washington, D.C. this past year, which was pretty interesting. Jesse the Body in the Rayburn building. You ought to see that one.
Well, I wish we could have been there with the video camera. But a lot of things happening in your career. Of course, you still do the color commentary for the Minnesota Vikings, and you're back in professional wrestling now with World Championship Wrestling. Tell us, I know the last time we had you on the show, you'd said WCW had contacted you a few times, but really never followed up with your agent, Barry Bloom, out on the West Coast. But this time a deal was consummated, and you debuted at Clash of the Champions a week and a half ago in Kansas City.
Yeah, it went quick and right to the point. I guess from the word that I heard, the problem, and no pun intended, was a Mr. Jim Hurd.
Yeah.
And apparently he blocked my path into WCW for one reason or another. I don't know why, but, talks never fulfilled ever. And when he was released or resigned or fired or whatever the thing was right before Christmas, they made contact with me, and shortly thereafter Christmas, they came back, and it was basically a 3-phone call deal that set the stage for the Super Brawl. And, I was real pleased with it. I'm totally happy with the situation right now.
And you will be doing the next pay-per-view, which is Super Brawl, coming up. I know you have been signed just for a few events. We understand through the rumor mill, maybe you can confirm that or deny it tonight. We understand that you are scheduled to meet with WCW this week about doing future announcing for them?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm flying to Los Angeles Tuesday to work on another project, but Kip Fry from WCW, who's now the head man, is flying out to L.A. This Wednesday to sit down with my representative, Barry Bloom, and hopefully between Wednesday and Thursday we'll hammer something out on a more long-term basis.
Well, that would be great. I was there at the event live, and just the excitement in the air when Kip Fry announced that you were signed to announce the pay-per-view show. When you came out, the people, I was watching the faces of many of the fans in attendance, and the majority of them were absolutely shocked that you came out to that great crowd in Kansas City. And boy, oh boy, just listening to the match with you and Jim Ross announcing together, it seemed to be instant chemistry. And of course, you have worked with Tony Schiavone before, so the fans are going to be certainly treated to some great announcing by Jesse Ventura. And you add a lot to the organization. WCW seems to be a company right now with Kip Fry taking over, and some of the talent they've signed recently, an organization on the upswing. And a lot of people are saying that Vince McMahon and the WWF are very vulnerable right now, and it could be the time for the TBS-owned group to make some waves in the wrestling business.
I agree with you. I would think that WWF is a bit vulnerable right now. They're involved in a lot of controversy, and also I think that, a lot of fans out there have been waiting for WCW to make a commitment.
Yes.
And, because they've struggled a bit the last year and a half, 2 years, and I think with what they're doing right now with Fry taking over and obviously them coming hard after me, they're showing the wrestling world that they are going to make that commitment. And I'm excited about it. I mean, they got a lot of great young talent down there, and they seem to be extremely hungry. That was the impression that I got in walking in and out of the dressing room, that you had a lot of guys there that were very, very hungry to be successful. And I'm excited about it because, you know, if somebody is going to make a move, you enjoy being on the ground floor of it. I remember when, you know, Vince McMahon first went national. Well, I was fortunate to be on the ground floor of that movement, and that was exciting times, and it was touch and go, and it was, you know, you didn't sleep good every night, you know, but that's the way I've always lived my life. And, you know, I think right now that I think WCW is in a position to where they can come up definitely and rival WWF, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like in the old days, if you're old enough to remember the NFL and the AFL.
Yes.
You know, the AFL played second fiddle all the way until a guy named Broadway Joe Namath brought the Jets in there. And then all of a sudden they were looked on equal. And then next year when Kansas City beat the Vikings, they were equal.
Well, that's certainly a good comparison right now. On WCW's telecast over the last few weeks, they've showed the Steiner brothers defeating the Legion of Doom and the Nasty Boys. They've showed Sid Vicious being pinned by Sting and Lex Luger. They will show Ric Flair being pinned next week by Sting. And so they are really going after, for the first time, showing the wrestling fans around the country that, hey, these WCW guys are tough themselves, and they have defeated some of the top guys who are now competing in the top rung of the WWF. So
well, and I think, you know, you're going to see in WCW, you know, they've brought the light heavyweight division in too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a chance. I mean, if people, I mean, this Thunder Liger from Japan is unbelievable.
Have you seen him live yet?
I haven't seen him live. I'm looking forward to it. I've only seen him on television tape, but you know, the one time I think I saw him on George Michael. The what's that show he's got on?
Sports Machine.
Yeah, the Sports Machine on Sunday night. They actually played a clip from him, and I kind of was sitting there half dazed in my chair a couple months ago, and this guy came on from Japan, and it woke me up real quick.
Yeah, he certainly added a lot of excitement. A lot of people say that he is the most talented light heavyweight in the world today, and of course he holds a WCW strap.
Yeah, well, it'd be a great match, him and Pillman, because Pillman's no slouch either.
Yeah, Pillman has certainly come a long, long way. We're going to open up phone lines here for everybody out there. If you'd like to talk to Jesse the Body Ventura and talk about professional wrestling or Jesse's career, a long and illustrious one. And, of course, Jesse is also involved right now with a television show called The Grudge Match. And we've been watching that here in the New York area. And
John, if I can add, The Grudge Match ratings are doing great in New York.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a show that's made for New Yorkers.
Yes, it is.
You know, I mean, that if you ever wanted to look at what would be a natural New Yorker, the Grudge Match.
Well, that's certainly...
I think it'd be good to get a few of them New York cab drivers on there.
Can you imagine? There's certainly a lot of options as far as when they go into battle with each other. Maybe you could do a live remote right here from the streets in New York City with the Grudge Match and set it up.
Either that or just bring it to the Garden.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
We could use the felt form and bring the cabbies in.
Well, talk to the producers, and we'll hawk the tickets here on the show, and we'll sell the place out.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll go to the phones right now. We're going to take our first caller, Adam from White Plains. Adam, you're first here at the Pro Wrestling Spotlight.
Yes, I'd like to ask Jesse a question.
Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, why did you decide to go to WCW besides WWF?
It wasn't my decision to make. A year ago, in August of 1990, the WWF released me, fired me, whatever way you want to put it. We had a problem over a marketing dispute. I own the rights to my name, and I subsequently marketed my name to the Sega Genesis people, the video company, and the WWF basically told me I couldn't do that, and I basically said, yes, I can. I own the rights to my name, and they told me my job would be in jeopardy if I did that, and I did it, and they let me go. And from that point on, I think we only had one contact between then and me signing with WCW, one or two contacts, but the one time that we did, when I left the WWF, they told me if I was contacted by any other wrestling organization to please give them a courtesy call, you know, to allow them, I suppose, to counter offer or whatever. And last spring, when Global started with Joe Pedicino, they had a lot of rumor that they had this $14 or $15 million or whatever it was, and they approached me and made me a legitimate offer. And to make the long story short, I fulfilled my obligation. I had my manager call Titan, WWF, and tell them that this other company had approached me. And Titan came back a day or two later, and their quote back was they weren't sure how they could use me.
Well, that's phenomenal.
And so at that point in time, I took that as meaning that my relationship with the WWF was now over. You know, because and when WCW contacted me, they had a very good idea of how they wanted to use me. So, you know, you say what you want, it's still a business. You know, it's no different than baseball here in Minnesota. We won the world title with Jack Morris, but along came Toronto, and Toronto offered Jack Morris $10 million, $11 million for 2 years, and Jack Morris is gone now. Well, wrestling likewise is a business, and, you know, Titan, WWF claimed they didn't know how they'd use me anymore, and WCW does, and I'm happy I'm there.